What's up, live? Hey, so it's been a minute since I have been on here. So I'm gonna give you guys a moment to come on in before I jump into the meat of tonight's discussion. So usually on Monday nights I talk about business and business growth, business development, and so since I've been under the weather, I've missed you guys for a couple of weeks, and so we're gonna do it tonight, especially since I got a few minutes. So as you come in, hey Mel, Dan, how you doing? Melody, how you doing? So I need y'all to do me a favor, hit the share button in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, and we are going to make this happen. So like I said, normally we talk about business and things like that on Monday evenings after Bible study, but since I'm behind and recovering, I want to talk about this tonight, and I actually might, just for the record, move this to Thursdays, just because, again, usually Monday nights are Bible study, Tuesday is radio, Wednesday is my night, and so I might move this to Thursday. But all right, so now that we on, so let's go. So I wanted to talk about. Thank you, Melanie. Yeah, I'm about 80%. As you can hear, my voice is not still 100%, but that's okay. I got enough to get this out. But so what we're going to talk about tonight again is, I want to talk about, are you really leading your teams to success? One of the things that's very important as a leader, especially one that manages people, is to provide a space and the opportunity for for those who follow you to interact with you on multiple levels. And when I say multiple levels, I'm saying that they have to feel like that they can come and talk to you, not just as manager or boss, but that at times they can come and just talk to you, that they feel comfortable enough to just talk to you. And I bring this up because one of the issues that as a leader most people have is, one of the organizations have, is that as you get higher and higher into the organization, it seems like in most companies, that there is a loss of the heart. You want to have the heart of the leader. And what I mean by that is, in corporate America, we call it talking about vision, and being able to talk about like what the company vision and what the company culture is. In your bad companies, I'm gonna tell you this, in your bad companies, what typically happens is leadership casts a vision, or they cast goals, and then somewhere an upper management usually leadership casts vision, upper management usually turns that vision into goals, and then somewhere when it gets down into middle management, which is largely responsible for, hey Halima, I'm sure you can attest to some of this too, that when it gets to around middle management, or the managers that are touching the people who are on the ground, sometimes we coach and we train to goals instead of coaching and training to vision or culture. And when we do that, oftentimes we lose people because though we want people to hit goals, we forget that people are still people. And so, and sometimes we have to be reminded of that, is that these are still people who have lives, and as a part of their lives, they have issues that sometimes keep them from not hitting or pursuing the goal, or not being as engaged in pursuing the goal. So how do we do that, or what do we do about that? One of the things that I've learned to do in leadership, and am learning to do, let me start here. One of my mistakes in trying to do that is sometimes, if you're, there's usually typically two different leadership styles. One leadership style would be your micromanager, and if you are a micromanager, the micromanager, you guys know, is usually the one who doesn't give you the opportunity or the space to have any type of creativity, to have any type of input, to have any type of say on what goes on into the day-to-day, or just any input in the vision or at all. And then you have the other type, which is typically on the other end, which we call more like a laissez-faire type of leadership, where that leader is typically laid back. It's not that they're not engaged, but they're not, as hands-on in the creative or in the decision-making process, or gives his or her team a little bit more say-so in kind of how they execute whatever the vision or whatever the strategy is. And so neither of those is terrible, but as with any type of leadership style, they resonate with certain type of people, with certain type of personalities, and both have their positives and negatives. And that's just, honest truth, especially depending on the task or the job that's necessary. Why did I bring this? So I brought that up to say that it's not necessarily just about the style of leadership that makes what I'm about to say, or makes successful leaders. Is really about, again, understanding who your people are, because a good manager can be a mix of both, based upon the individual. A good leader understands his people, what happens, what makes them tick, what makes them don't tick, what makes them mad, what's going on with them personally that could possibly be why they're not engaged, or if they're not engaged, can make whatever adjustments need to be made for that person. So I say all that to say, again, is you want to make, even whether you're a micromanager or whether you're a laissez-faire type of manager or leader, then you want to be, you still want to give your people the space to be themselves, in terms of be who they are, in terms of being able to approach you. So you have to be approachable in the sense that your people need to be able to come to you and trust that, number one, what you say is not going to be held against them. So just like in any good relationship, you're not going to hold what I say against me. In terms of, and when I say hold it against me, I'm saying if I'm telling you something about how I feel or how I think that could be potentially negative, you're not going to want to fire me because all of a sudden I disagree with something that you say, but that you'll listen to me and understand where I'm coming from, and we can have some type of discussion so I can help understand your perspective. That's what I mean by not holding it against me. And then the second thing that as a leader that you have to do is that you have to learn sometimes how to allow the space for your people to critique you, because just because your name is on the top doesn't mean that you're always right. Sometimes as leaders we are wrong, and sometimes we need to hear what the people around us are saying. Just like as a corporation, we listen to our Lord, what am I trying to say? We're listening to our customers. Thank you. That even as we're listening to our customers, we also have to listen to our employees. Now, here's the trick about listening to your employees, just like listening to your customers. When you're listening to customers and employees, you have to take everything, you have to hear everything or listen to everything, but you don't have to change everything, or you don't have to agree with everything that's said. But in listening, what you do is you create for yourself the space, the mental space, the emotional strength, that if you know that you're hearing the same thing over and over, you now know what area of your leadership you need to investigate. So here's a good example. Here's a personal example. So several years ago, I worked for U.S. Bank, and as a manager for U.S. Bank, they took us through something called the Leadership Practices Inventory. And those of you guys might know it. It's by, I believe it's Kuzner and Posen or something like that. It was a very good thing. And you have to give your direct reports, you give your managers, you give your partners, You give all of them, a certain number of them, this test or these questions that they take, and they rate you. Fine, but after all of that, you sit down and you have to sit there and listen. You can't say anything, but you have to just listen to the feedback that they give you. And from that, the objective is that, number one, you have to agree before you go into. You have to agree not to, again, like I said, retaliate because of it. But number two, the objective is for you to action plan around it so you can become a better leader. So I took the test, and me at the time thinking I was this stellar, awesome leader, and I wasn't terrible, was told by everyone in our organization, or everyone who took this test, something that was very, hey Nicole, Travis, how you doing? Corey, how you doing, bro? Nikki, how you doing? Do me a favor, guys, hit the share button, okay? I was told something. There was a consistent message that went across the board to my leadership, to people who I was following, to my manager, to my partners, to my to the same people who are my counterparts, and to my direct reports. There was an area that was very consistent, and for me, that area of consistency was that there was a level that they thought that I didn't care about them. And of course, me being, because of the personality I have, I knew that wasn't the case, and they knew that it wasn't the case, but they began to give me specific things that I had done that were signals or indications that that what they were saying wasn't important. So one of the things that I was told during that discussion was, people would ask me for days off, and I would forget. Okay. But then they would say, now listen, every time we remind you, so you would do the schedule, we would remind you, you put out the schedule, we remind you that we asked for the day off, and you'd always change it. But the fact that you forgot initially made me think that what I told you wasn't important. And then another one was, so it was little things. It was not, see, I said little. It was things like that to them, they interpreted that way. And so for me, it was simply just making some adjustments as their leader to let them know that, again, even from that discussion, something as detailed as that, I needed to make adjustment. I needed to make an adjustment to not let that happen anymore. So as a leader, you have to be able to provide that space, because you don't know. Because to me, in that discussion, I didn't really, it wasn't a big deal to me, because if I made a schedule and you told me, hey, you forgot that on Tuesday I asked to be off at 5, if I switched it, then problem solved, right? But to them, to several of my staff, that was something that was a problem. So what you have to know your people, you have to put yourself in a position, number one, like I said, where you can listen. The number two thing you have to do is you have to be proactive. Hey, Steph, how you doing? So you've got to be proactive. So the second thing you have to do is be proactive as a leader. One of the things that I've always enjoyed and always loved about leadership is the coaching, is the time which you get to coach your staff. So I love leadership in terms of creating vision, creating systems. I enjoy working with teams. I enjoy leading teams, even though they can be emotionally and physically draining at times. But I enjoy it. But the thing that I love, and as a part of that, what I really enjoy is the development or the coaching aspect of that. Because when you do that, you get to see people have those aha moments. And in the process of them having aha moments, you have aha moments. So, but if you don't create the culture, if you don't create the space, you don't create the opportunity for your people to even have the chance to want to sit down and talk to you, be proactive to talk to you, then that's a problem. So you can't wait. What I'm saying is don't wait, because what we typically do is we typically wait until there's a problem, or we wait until there's a fire, or we only talk to people when there's like an annual review. Y'all know how we hate those annual reviews. When there's an annual review, or there's a customer problem, or there's something going on that people that we want to talk to our staff. And I'm gonna say this: the larger your organization gets, hey Andre, how you doing? Guys, as you jump in, do me a favor, hit the share button. And as you jump in, as your organization gets larger, it becomes harder to do that because it's more people, number one, and your job in terms of the things that you have to do on a day-to-day function does not change. So you still have to, do all the same stuff, but you still have to make it a priority to talk to and to touch those people who work for you and who lead your organization. So again, I said the first thing is you got to put yourself in a position to listen. The second thing is you got to be proactive in how you deal with your people. And these two things, these things I'm giving you are things that can be used in any organization across any type. You can tailor it to your business type, whether you're a nonprofit, if you're a church leader, whatever you do, you've got to set up a system, again, where your people feel comfortable, because the people who are on the front line are the most important aspect of your business, or the second most important aspect of your business. You got to have a good business idea. It is more important. It's most important. But even if you have a so-so idea, if you have excellent execution of a so-so idea, then as a business you can survive for a while. As a leader, you can do okay on a so-so business. Now, if you have an excellent idea or excellent business, and you have excellent people, then there really is not a whole lot of reason why you should not be successful. So people are that important to the nature of your business that, again, an excellent idea with terrible service is not going to keep you doing well. Okay, it's not. And you might reach to a certain level, but if you want to be at the top, then that's not going to work. Think about it, and if you think I'm wrong, think about some of the stores that you go into. So let's think about how many of you all right now hate, even though they're one of the top retailers in the country, they're slowly but surely losing market share because most people hate going into a Walmart. If it wasn't for the low prices, you wouldn't go in there. So now that there are more places and people that are coming up with prices that are just as low, they're slowly but surely losing market share because people need good service, and they recognize it too, because they're starting to make some adjustments and changes too. So all right, so we said number one was make yourself available for people to talk to. Number two, we said, was be proactive in talking to your people. Number three is that you've got to, at time as a leader, if you want to make a successful team, is you've got to get in. You have to get. When I say get on the, I don't want to say get on the level of them, but sometimes they've got to see you get your hands dirty in doing the things that you're asking them to do. Not all the time, but sometimes. There's a saying my father says that sometimes as a leader, you have to be in front of the people, and then sometimes as a leader, you have to be amongst the people. And what I mean by that is, what he means by that is that sometimes as a leader, of course, you're going to be in front of people, meaning you're going to see things, because you're the one a lot of times that are going to see things where you should be, see things before them. You're going to be the one developing the things. You're going to see where the market's going. If you're a church leader, you're going to see kind of where God's taking you. But there are some times where you need to go and be amongst the people so that on the day-to-day function, they can see you, if you're in sales, selling with. All right, sorry about that. There's a dead zone. So they want to see that. They want to see that, again, that if we're in sales, that sometimes you're not afraid to pull up your sleeves and come out and on the sales floor and sell with them. So again, that's what I mean by you got to put yourself on their level, or put yourself with them, in the sense that because if they can't touch you, if the people who follow you can't touch you, then it's going to be very difficult for them to, on a day-to-day basis, again, be able to carry this vision. One of the things that happens that's very sometimes heartbreaking for leaders is that when they become leaders, if it's in a situation where you have to work your way up, or if you or if you were given the leadership position, that sometimes we forget what the day-to-day operations look like, or sounds like, or feels like, and so we start to implement rules and strategies that aren't I want to say friendly, but aren't good for our people. And again, because we don't set up, and then we double up and make even a bigger mistake because we don't have an environment set up where they can come and talk to us, or culture set up where they can come and talk to us. So they really start to think that they just don't care about what we say or what we think, and then we start wondering why our retention, why it's very hard for us to retain top talent. We used to say, used to have a saying that I'm sure is still said, that people don't leave companies, they leave bad managers, and I think that that's true to some extent. That people will stay with a good manager. Some people, a lot of people will stay with a good, not everybody, will stay with good leadership, even if it means temporarily, even if it means in some instances, not every instance, that they're gonna stay someplace and get less pay, because culture means everything, and there is a price for peace, and people will say, listen, you can't, we always say you can't put a price on peace, but the price is peace. And so some people who want that say, I'll stay here for for a few less dollars, knowing that the people I work for actually care about me. So that's the fourth thing. So the fourth thing is that your people have to know that you care about them. Not necessarily care about how many widgets they put out, not necessarily how many, but you care about them. You care about their career goals. You care about their aspirations. You care about what's going on with them, that you're willing to, even if it means taking a little, eating some humble pie, that you will do what's necessary. I told somebody today first of all, I told somebody today, I said that they were telling me that they were thinking about looking for another job, and I jokingly said, listen, you can't leave me. And he kind of laughed. I said, no, I'm serious. I said, but no, in all seriousness, I said, if this is something you want to do, not only do I support you, but I will write you a letter. I will definitely, be the first person to write you a letter of recommendation, because you're an excellent employee. I said, now I'm definitely going to miss you, but at the same time, if this is something that you need to do for your career, then who am I to not support that as your leader, as your leadership? And so that's something. And the look on his face was like, wow, I never, he said to me, I've been in the workforce for 45 years, and I've never had somebody tell me that, and that that they were willing to do that. And so I appreciate that. And so for me, that was it was a truthful statement, but it was something that, and I'll be clear, learning how to do that was something I had to learn, because I'm not always necessarily by nature I would call it cheerleader, but it was appropriate, it was necessary, and it was truthful. So again, I just want us to encourage, I want to encourage you guys, if you are in leadership or you want to go into leadership, that you think about it from that space. Think about those four things. Again, number one, put yourself in a position where people can always talk to you. Number two, be proactive in how you talk to in talking to your team. Number three, excuse me, always be number three thing as a leader that you want to do is you always want to put yourself in a position where that people know that you care about them, and that you're constantly praising them. And then number four, again, I said you want to listen. You don't have to make changes. You don't have to change yourself for to make them happy or nothing like that. But you at least have to listen to what people are saying, because if you hear consistent themes, then from people who don't, I always say, if I hear the same thing from people who don't know each other, that's the indication that I need to probably pay attention to what people are saying, because it's a problem. So I know when I get too many people telling me you're doing too much, you need to slow down, you're doing too much, you need to slow down. And I know that these are people who don't know each other, and I know that these are people who care about me. Then most of the time, I try to pay attention to what they're saying. So, all right, guys, that's your leadership lesson for the day. Again, I want you to make successful teams. I want you to build successful organizations and operations. And again, sometimes I think we forget that it's not always do we have the right accounting software? Is our social media good? Are we using proper taglines? Are we, some of those things are all necessary, but I don't want you to forget that again, that this is a people's game. That this is still a people. I don't care how social we get. I don't care how online we get. People still spend money with people who they like. People still work for people who they like. So you want to be that person. And here, let me say this also. Then before I get off this, I understand that it has become quite cool to be the the keep it real person. I know that's cool. It is real cool. I get it. I think it has its place. But if that's not you, don't be it. Please don't, because it looks really weird. And some folks are just rude and tacky, and they're not keeping it real. It's not. Some folks sound straight schizophrenic, and that's just what it is. 1 minute one minute you're talking this, the next minute like you just schizophrenic. Be who you are. Now, if you're by nature schizophrenic, then that's one thing. But don't try to be. My point is, I probably shouldn't have said schizophrenic. I'm sure I'll get somebody who said this guy has not offended because I said that. But you know what I'm saying. 1 minute you're saying one thing, another thing the time you're saying something different. Just be who you are. If you are by nature, everybody want to cuss now. Everybody want to, it's like, come on, everybody is not Gary Vaynerchuk. Everybody is not Steve Jobs. Like, be you. Those are all successful people, or are all successful people, but you don't have to be that. Be who you are, and leverage your personality the best way you can, and be comfortable that the personality that God gave you is perfect for the job that you need to do. You don't have to be me. You don't have to be anything. I remember, and I'm gonna let you go after this. So I remember when I first started preaching. I come from again, my father's a preacher. I grew up around preachers. I love preaching, and so I remember when I first started preaching. I started trying to in my I don't know if it was purposely or consciously or subconsciously, I don't know, but I would purposely in my mind try to imitate those people who I thought were really good preachers. Now, if you've ever heard about Father Talk, if you guys watch his videos in the morning when he does or listen to his radio show, my father has a very big and deep voice. I ain't got that. I have a very soft voice, and so it tore me up trying to be him. But I thought that's what successful and good preaching was like. And then I came out of a tradition and out of churches where pastors, they preach, and good preaching was you preach hard and you hooped and you did those types. And again, that wasn't me. Here I am, and I'm not hooping. I was more of a teacher. I'm more of a teacher, and so I'm trying to come out of who I am to make myself fit what I thought that other people wanted me to be, and that didn't work. So the only thing that left me was frustrated, confused, and having a sore throat, and everybody looking at me like, "What are you doing?" Because this isn't even you. And so that when I became comfortable just being who I was, then slowly but surely things began to fall in place. Because again, you don't want to be anybody else. You just want to be you. Who you are is good enough to be what you need to accomplish. The purpose, when God created you, He created you with the perfect personality, with the perfect look, with everything that you needed to be what you were designed to be. He didn't say, okay, I'm gonna make you like this. I'm gonna give him this destiny. I'm gonna give him this assignment, but he gonna have to change who he is to be like this person in order to make it happen. No, that's not what he did. In his infinite wisdom, he gave you the perfect temperament, the perfect personality. He gave you the perfect height, the perfect weight, the perfect size, the perfect everything to be exactly who you are supposed to be. So be that and be comfortable and be confident that you are good enough, even though it doesn't seem like that what you are is good enough for the moment. All right? I want you to remember that. All right, guys. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Have a good rest of your night. And that's it. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.